everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Walk in My Shoes. My name's Angelique, and today I am here with
Brittney Herman.
Brittney is our current reigning Miss Ohio volunteer, which is so exciting, and you're also an attorney too.
Yes.
And we are so happy to have Brittney here today, so we'll just go ahead and get started if you're ready.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So, Brittney, tell us a little bit about, your background, where you're from, where you went to school, things like that.
Sure, I'd love to. So I am from all over the place. I'm not a military brat, but I'm like a military adjacent brat. My dad does contracting work for the military. So I grew up all over the United States, but primarily the American South. I went to college at Tennessee Technological University, where I went on a marching band scholarship and also did some swimming. Yeah, I didn't think it was awesome at the time. I felt like a total geek, but I'm glad I did it now. And then I went to law school at Brigham Young University Law School, then did a specialty law degree at Georgetown, and then moved to Ohio to start my legal career.
Awesome. How did you get into law? Like when you were in college, was that something you always wanted to do, or was that something that you were like, maybe I'll try it out and see? And, how did you get started in that career path?
I started college as a music major. I'd played the flute my whole life and was wanting to continue playing it, but I decided somewhere along the way that I needed to make a shift, and I'd really enjoyed doing debate in high school and had a fun time with like the arguing part and the research part.
It's the best part.
Yeah, exactly. The arguing and getting to win an argument. But I went and I finished my degree in English and then went on to law school, and I chose it because of the debate element, which I actually do transactional work now. So I'm never in court and never debate anything. Well, not never, but very rarely. And so it's been different than what I expected it to be, but I've found that it's the right career path for me.
Awesome. Well, so you brought up that you play the flute. I will say I just went and bought a flute the other day. I'm very much teaching myself, but anyways.
I love it. We have like some Lizzo behind.
Yes, I'm in my Lizzo era. But anyway, so how has music always been a passion for you, or is that something that you started when you were younger?
Yeah, my mom is a flute player as well. So I grew up watching her play the flute. It was so elegant, and I wanted to be just like my mom. So I begged and begged and begged my parents for a flute, and we didn't grow up super affluent, and so it was a big sacrifice for them to purchase me one. But they did, and the investment, I think, paid off because now I've been playing for, I think, 17 years. And it's been a lot of fun. So it's been a journey. There were times that I wanted to quit because I felt a little too band geeky, but I definitely think that's something I'm glad that I stuck with and that people pushed me to continue doing, because I don't know where my life would be without music.
Awesome. So since you bring up, your family and stuff, when you decided to make the switch from being an English major to moving into law, was that, challenging for your family, or what was your support system like in that decision making?
I'm really grateful to have a family that's always been supportive. Coming from a background that, like I said, wasn't very affluent, my parents understood that I would have to work really hard to achieve my dreams, right? And I think everybody has a different element of hard work, but having grown up in poverty to then becoming a lawyer, I kind of think that that's the epitome of the American dream, right? And my parents just really instilled in me hard work, hard work, hard work. And oftentimes with the legal field especially, you have a lot of people who have family members with experience in the field. I didn't have anyone. I didn't have someone to look to be like, oh, this is what being a lawyer is actually like. So I'm very grateful I like it now that I've done it. But it was really that focus on hard work, and my parents just telling me as long as you continued to push yourself and push forward your future, you could achieve anything. And so I'm really grateful to have them and to have had people who would celebrate with me when I got into law school.
Right. That's awesome. I was a political science major in college. Yeah. So and some of my family was involved in government, not everybody. But I was a first gen college student. So I can understand how challenging sometimes it is, especially because in law or politics, networking is everything. And so definitely feel you on that one. So let's just talk. I'm very excited to talk about your Miss Ohio volunteer experience. All right, so tell us how you got started in the pageant world. And I did competitive dance growing up, so I'm familiar, but not all too familiar with pageants. So tell us how you got started with that.
I had grown up watching pageants. I went to school partially in Texas, and I went to high school with Miss Teen Texas USA.
Okay.
And she was just the most beautiful, radiant, like kindest person I've ever met. And I was like, oh, I would love to do something like that one day. But I didn't feel like I fit that mold. I didn't think that I was pretty enough. I didn't think that I was eloquent enough. I didn't know how to walk in high heels at all. Get involved in pageants because they're a great way to pay for school. I earned over $40,000 of both cash and in-kind scholarships. So that takes care of a lot of that student debt that I had, as well as if I ever did want to go back to school, I have some stuff there to do it. And I think that it did open a lot of opportunities up for me as someone who came from a background that day. Like, I weren't going to be able to pay for school for me to go ahead and pay for it myself in this kind of non-conventional way and make friends and have fun doing it.
Awesome. So you said your first pageant you went to, you didn't win. What would your advice be for, obviously we're talking to our youth here, so what would your advice be for, sometimes you're not going to win everything.
Yeah.
How do you, pick up and keep going?
I think it's really going to your why. And so for me, the reason that I wanted to be there was at first to have the experience, right? And so I was just soaking in the experience for what it was. And I recognized there's 27 girls here and only one can win. And I'm very new at this. I don't know what I'm doing.
And we'll see.
And we'll see. So it was all about just going in and having fun, right? And then when I started to get more serious about pageants and start thinking like, okay, I want to serve in this way, and winning would help me do that. And so winning became a little bit more of a focus. What I turned to was, well, why do I want to win? Like, what is my purpose here? And there have been plenty of pageants since I switched that focus and since I kind of started focusing more on, or that I was able to cope with losses as well, right? And so for me, I started a nonprofit called We Will, which is all about sexual assault prevention and survivor empowerment. And at pageants, you have the opportunity to talk about what you're doing, to open doors, to talk to new people. I got to meet some senators because I was involved in pageantry, right? And so that became my why. So then if I lost, like win or lose, it didn't matter because I knew that I was accomplishing moving that work forward.
Gotcha.
And so that's been really helpful for me. And I will go into nationals this June. And I don't know if I will win or lose. I mean, there's like a 2% chance I'll win, just technically speaking, if we're doing the math. And so for me, it's been more about what has this year meant to me? How have I been able to move my nonprofit forward and go from there?
That's awesome. I love that you've started your own nonprofit, and so amazing. But so how have you managed your time, or I guess what time management skills have you acquired doing pageants, being an attorney, and then also having your own nonprofit?
Yeah, so that's something I wish I would have learned a lot better when I was in high school, and knowing what my deadlines were and how to meet them. And then I got into law school, and so more was added on, and then the pageants added on, and then the nonprofit added on. But I think it's going back to those skills that I was able to learn in my undergraduate, right, of time management and of stress management, honestly,
right.
Because it can get really stressful doing a bunch of different things, and everyone experiences stress in their own ways. So I think making sure that not only am I blocking my time such that I know I'll be able to get the things done that I need to do for all of the things I'm passionate about, but also blocking my time and taking time for myself, because mental health, I think, tends to go down the drain sometimes when we are focused on accomplishing and doing more. So I definitely take time to focus on that and even build that into my schedule as well.
Awesome. How has being in the pageant world, or even just being an attorney, how has that shaped who you've become today?
I think for the pageant part, it's definitely made me more confident. There's something about standing up on stage and saying, this is who I am and this is what I believe in,
right,
that helps you know who you are better. I think it's easy to go into those situations and think like, oh, I don't belong here, because that's how I felt at first. But I decided instead to just be myself, and that's where I found that I'm the most comfortable, that I'm the most able to make a difference in this world, is when I am myself. And so growing that confidence. As far as the attorney aspect of it, I am a female working in a very male-dominated field. On my floor, there's only one other female attorney at my law office. And so it's learning to speak up for yourself, to say what you need, to say what other people might need, to voice a different perspective. And that's really shaped who I am, because I think in the past I've been really hesitant to own up to who I am, to what I believe in, to the issues that I see. But as I've been more comfortable with that, become more comfortable with that, I found my voice and the value that I can add.
Awesome. What do you say, so I'm going to switch back a little bit, go back to your attorney career. What would be your first step? You have somebody who comes to you and says, I want to be an attorney. Where do I start?
I would start by shadowing someone. That's something that I kind of touched on earlier with the school part is we have in the legal field so many people who know attorneys or have connections. And I can't tell you how much it would mean to me if a student reached out to me and said, hey, can I shadow you for a day at work? Or just a couple of hours, can I talk to you about what you actually do? Because so often with the legal field, we do think of that debate aspect. It's like, oh, it's all about like the show suits or like Law and Order, like you're in the courtroom, you're arguing, you're yelling, all of these things. But that's not what a lot of attorneys do, right? And so I think it's helpful to learn like, okay, what does this look like on a day-to-day basis? And then do I want to pursue it? I have so many friends who did law school and then they started working in the legal field and they're like, shoot,
maybe not.
Like, this might not be for me.
I watched 2 episodes of How to Get Away with Murder and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it would have been really valuable for those people, just as it became valuable for me to shadow attorneys and to see what their life is like. So I definitely start there.
Awesome. Okay, so then now moving into your pageant side, what would be your starting off point for someone who wants to get involved in pageants? Obviously, you said you started a local pageant, but if they don't even have any idea of where to start.
So what you can do is go on to some sort of social media and just look up your local area title holder or your state title holder. So people reach out to me all the time as Miss Ohio volunteer and they say, hey, I want to get involved. How do I get involved? And then I just message them all of the information. This is everything you need to do. And I never watched a pageant before I was in one. I mean, I'd watch them on TV, watch my friends compete and things like that, but I'd never seen one in person. I don't think it's necessary. I think if you have an idea of doing it, I just say go for it. I think that so often people start with the pageant journey thinking like, oh, I can't do this, like I'll be bad at it or whatever. And that held me back for a really long time, right? But I think that it doesn't matter if you're bad. I think it matters that you start because you're not going to start being amazing. I mean, there are some people who go out and win the pageant on their first try and then win state and then win national.
Right.
But most of the time people start small and they start by just trying it out and seeing if it's for them. So I think it would come down to message people to ask what you need to do and then just try it. Just go for it.
Great. So being Miss Ohio volunteer, obviously, like you said, there's that volunteer aspect of it. What kind of volunteer experience have you done over the years or?
Yeah, so there's been a focus on my nonprofit and the work that I'm doing there, as well as just serving the communities in Ohio. So with a nonprofit for sexual assault prevention and survivor empowerment, I've been able to introduce different bills to state legislators across the nation. I've been able to go to the national capital in Washington, D.C., talk to legislators there, participate in education online, just do all sorts of things, just talk about it all the time because sexual assault is something really difficult and something that we don't talk about enough. So that's been a large focus for me. And then as far as the other community service goes with serving communities in Ohio, it's just been a matter of going out in the community and getting my hands dirty, going for it. One of my favorite opportunities that I've had is going into nursing homes and talking to the residents there and playing the flute for them and helping them feel loved and cherished and valued. And just earlier today, I was playing for some of the residents and it brought tears to my eyes as well as theirs just to have that connection with someone again. I think that so often in today's world we can be disconnected, so being connected I think is a really important part of my job.
Great. That's so cute. I love that. How would you say, just overall looking, okay, so let's say your younger self, what would she have to say about all that you've accomplished thus far?
I think she would be in awe. I feel like when we're young, we don't always recognize our own potential. And I look at so many young people today, and it's like, oh, your life, it can go so many great directions. And the world is your oyster. You can truly accomplish anything. But when I was younger, I didn't recognize that in myself. It's definitely harder to recognize in ourselves than to see it in other people when we're older. And I think that she'd be really proud of the choices that I've made. I think about individuals that I graduated with and the amazing things that they're doing, and some of them are struggling a little bit, and it all came down to those choices that we were making. And I think that we didn't at that age recognize the long-term consequences that our choices could have, right?
Right.
But now seeing that and looking back, I'm just really grateful that I had the courage to do the things that I wanted to do, because I was a really shy girl. I didn't talk to anyone. I was just very timid and not willing to do the things that I dreamed of doing. But it was once I decided to step out of my shell, to go for things, to announce to the world, like, these are things that I want to do, to try things and to fail and to be okay with failure, that my life has been able to turn out the way that it has. And so I really hope that young people take the opportunity to try new things, to go for what's in front of them, to try and to fail, and to make good choices, for sure.
Do you think you have any regrets at all?
Oh, man. Does not trying out for the volleyball team in 7th grade count? I mean, I'm 6 foot tall. So,
I mean, it's fine.
You win some, you lose some. But no, I don't think I have any regrets, because even looking back and thinking like, oh, sometimes I think I wish I would have started pageants earlier. I think I started them at the right time for what I needed in my life.
Right.
But I do wish that I'd had more courage to do things in the past, just to continue building and continue growing, because it's once I push myself outside of my comfort zone that I have been able to grow the most.
Do you think you're going to keep doing pageants for a long while, or is this...
Okay, so I love what I'm doing right now. I love it so much. But it is a lot of work. So I think once I'm done with my year as Miss Ohio volunteer in September, because that's when our pageant takes place, and if anyone's interested, you're more than welcome to join us.
Go ahead and sign
up. Message me. But once I give up my title in September, I think I'm going to take a break and take some time away and focus on some of my other endeavors, like being an attorney, like my nonprofit. And I'll probably come back one day. It's a never say never situation.
For sure. For sure. Well, hopefully we'll see you back on stage again. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming today. Obviously, we wish you the best of luck at your national competition. And you're truly just such an inspiration. And I just kind of want to be you right now. But it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. All right. Well, as you heard, if you're interested in the Miss Ohio Volunteer competitions in September, and you can message Brittney. You want to say your social media?
Yes. So the best way to message me about the pageant is at Miss OHVOL. So Miss Ohio Vol, but Miss OHVOL. And if you message me, I promise I'll respond. I'm super nice. I'll help you figure out the pageant. I have a ton of extra dresses. So if you're tall, close to my size, girl, I got you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming again today. And we will see you all next time on A Walk in My Shoes.